say a rainbow flag, it'd be international top news. In California, a group of protesters stormed a church, tore things apart, chanted against Jesus, and then on video, punch an old lady in the face, grab her cross away on news cameras, beat her up, and the news, it's up on Infowars.com, says, well, there was a scuffle today.
Okay, we are getting a clearer picture of what may have sparked that heated confrontation at Palm Springs City Hall. That's where a group had gathered to protest the passage of Prop 8.
Let's go back live down to Palm Springs and Kimberly Chang. Kimberly?
Get out of here. Get out.
Chris, we're being a little attacked here.
We need to call the police.
She just wants to express her viewpoint, sir. I'm standing here with Phyllis Burgess. As you can see right now, we are being attacked. She walked out here earlier. If you roll the video, you can see.
Okay, we may have to print this.
Okay.
If we print this in lieu of me being on here, I'll be so happy.
I'm not damaging anything. The black people are fighting. We should fight. We should fight. People like her.
Phyllis, this is Phyllis Burgess. She walked out earlier with the flag here. Are you okay,
Of the incident that sparked what has now turned into a very, very heated debate right now amongst these people that have come to Palm Springs City Hall to protest the passage of Proposition 8. And as you see there, that is Phyllis Burgess, the woman that we've just identified, and she walked there holding, as you can see, a large cross, along with appears to be a couple of other people. And within just moments, it didn't take long for that cross to be pulled out of her hand, and the woman standing by as the cross gets trampled, and the man that you just saw live standing on the right side of your screen, very loudly talking to the camera, it appears is the one who is stomping on that cross.
And what we're clearly seeing, and again, this happened roughly 8, 9, 10 minutes ago, is a lot of anger and a lot of hate, quite honestly, on both sides.
So, again, they're going to allow their people...
And both sides were probably saying hateful things, I'm sure.
No, they weren't. But the point is that they're going to allow selective thugism.
Exactly. And they will actually blame the victim by saying it was the church that was speaking hateful stuff. And so that's why those poor homosexuals were provoked to do what they did. That's the world we're rapidly becoming part of. I mean, we've been dealing with a media that was skewered for some time. They try to make it seem as if we're in the middle of a big crime wave when we are not, but that's the way they can always sell gun control. Like you say, every time there's a big shooting, that's the next opportunity for grabbing some more guns.
Well, Larry Pratt, the silver lining here that I want you to speak to in closing is that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we were in trouble. They were advancing. Now they're advancing covertly with manufacturing, lawsuits, importation restrictions, buying up all the ammo, but they're not advancing overtly anymore. And that's why Handgun Control and others have said, well, we'll just brainwash your kids. They brag, we've got your kids. I've seen them brag and say that. So the good news is these bastards are having to go more covert now because we're winning the fight for the hearts and minds.
Well, I hope that's right. And if it is, we may find that we're going to have to switch to satellite radio. You're already there, of course. But these guys could even come after the Internet through a treaty with the UN. There are so many stealth ways. We've only scratched the surface.
Oh, I forgot to bring that up. Stay with us on the, speaking of the Internet, we won't be on the AM and FM dial and shortwave, but during this 3-minute break, just for the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers and hundreds of thousands listening on the web and on the podcast, explain how they may try a UN treaty to do that, Larry Pratt. But before we end this segment, give people the website and toll-free number to find out more.
Gun Owners is at gunowners.org on the web, that's the best way to get us, gunowners.org. You can join there. You can get on our email alert, which is a freebie, gunowners.org.
And you've also got the Bitter Clinger T-shirt, which we'll talk about behind the scenes right now for the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. Please stay with us, and then I'll be back in the final segment for everybody else. Okay, Larry, get into the UN angle for folks.
Well, for years they've been trying to get the United States looped into a treaty at the UN. A small arms treaty is normally the way they call it. Well, small arms might sound military, and hey, I don't have a military gun, I just have a semi-automatic handgun or a hunting rifle. Well, believe me, that's what they mean by small arms, and that's the way they could come against us. They've got this very, very wrong notion that a treaty trumps anything in the Constitution. Actually, it only trumps something that the U.S. government had authority to enter into a treaty for to begin with. But they'll look at it as, oh, we got the treaty. Well, now we have to kiss off the Second Amendment. Sorry about that. Sorry about that D.C. decision that overturned gun bans. That was then. This is now. No more Second Amendment. And this is the way they've been advancing a lot of their agenda for almost 100 years. They started it with migratory birds. Oh, we can't keep you from hunting migratory birds with a national law? Okay, we'll get a treaty with Canada, and then we'll stuff it right down your throat.
Or they are now going to list carbon dioxide as a deadly toxic poison, not one of the four main elements of life on the planet, and then by claiming polar bears are endangered, which they're at record levels, 40-something thousand just on our side of the northern hemisphere, just in the Americas, not to mention Russia and other places, and then they lie and say polar bears can't swim. I mean, these people are just unconscionable in the level of lies they will tell.
Yeah, I guess I must have been dreaming when I saw those videos of polar bears in the Arctic swimming.
Nope, it's all lies. And it's no longer global warming, it's now climate change. Any season, any climate change, the bureaucrats got to take your house and your factory and your farm because they care about you.
And if they're doing it for a UN treaty, you really won't have any defense. Forget about any of your constitutional protections. Once they think they've got themselves covered with one of these UN treaties, that's it, baby. And they've been using these things for a long time. It's simply a matter of moving the chess pieces a little further down the board. It's not as if they're inventing something brand new.
How do we stop the UN pushing through a treaty? Just being watchful?
We've got to be watchful, and that's one reason I hope people will go to gunowners.org, get themselves on our email alert list, because we may have to respond very, very quickly when they try to pull one of these things. It may come up in any number of backhanded ways from behind closed doors, and so we've got to be ever alert. Folks have to be ready, kind of like Minutemen, to get those email, or this thing could just pass.
Absolutely. Larry, we're coming back to the full audience. Here we go. I'm going to let Larry Pratt go here in about a minute and a half as the show's almost over. But before we do that, Larry, at the state level, at the county level, at the federal regulatory level, what are some of the biggest hot spots right now, some of the most dangerous threats to the Second Amendment briefly, and then some of the good spots, some of the places where we're reclaiming our basic human right to self-defense?
I would say one of the most important things that we have to do in the area of reclaiming is to get what we would call Katrina laws that prohibit the confiscation of guns from people during an emergency. I mean, unless they're committing a crime, but if they're just walking down the street with their shotgun.
Yeah, you can't have emergency decrees to take people's guns.
And if they do it, and just making it illegal won't stop them, because you hardly ever hear of police officers being prosecuted. But if you do what was done at the federal level, thanks to Senator Vitter and then Representative Jindal, and if you do it at the state level, as they have done in Utah, you make it so that if those guns are confiscated in spite of the law, that the victim can bring a personal lawsuit, meaning that the police department or whatever does not pay for the guy's legal expenses, and if he loses and there's a monetary settlement against him because these will be civil suits, he has to pay it out of his own pocket. There goes his home. There goes his savings. There goes his retirement.
Yeah, we've got to punish people that violate the Bill of Rights and Constitution, and that also gives police, a law to say no to their superiors or to the governor or somebody else if they try that. Larry Pratt, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
I forgot one quick question. Is it encouraging to see record gun sales?
Yes, I think it is, because I know it's bringing new people into the fold. I've had calls from people who say, well, I've never owned a gun, but, ladies typically, but what kind of gun should I have?
It's a good cultural revolution. I know a lot of liberals buying guns. They are waking up and realizing and understanding it's a very special, precious thing. Larry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. There goes Larry Pratt, ladies and gentlemen.